Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cory Nacke. I'm Chief Customer Officer here at Work Truck Solutions. We got a good panel set up for today, really just associated with the summit. The summit is really built around a big, powerful idea, is turning our blind spots into profit centers. And that's where I want to start, because this topic we're exploring today, in my opinion, is the original blind spot in the industry, our partnerships with our customers. We've got better tools today than ever before: CDPs, marketing automation, CRM systems, agentic AI. And yet the relationship between the dealer and the customer is leaning more towards becoming more transactional, not less transactional. Why? We've outpaced our strategy with the tools. We've optimized processes without optimizing partnerships. And in a business that runs entirely on B2B relationships, that's a blind side hiding in plain sight. Today, we're going to talk about what actually it takes to move from managing sales to managing the relationship. And that requires alignment between your operations, your marketing, and your technology. I have three amazing panelists here with us today that are living the problem every single day from three different vantage points. We have Bruce, Nikki, and Andrew. Bruce, Cato from Knollwood. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Bruce Cato with Knollwood Upfitters, based out of Douglas, Georgia. We're just a small upfitter in the Southeast, a few locations, and primarily service bodies, flatbeds, anything that goes on a work truck. We try to install it. So happy to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks, Bruce. Nikki Wilson, why don't you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nikki Wilson. I'm the president of Jane Doe Marketing. We're a U.S.-based agency that really focus on helping complex companies with their lead generation and marketing efforts. I myself have been in the commercial vehicle industry for about 15 years, and I'm grateful to be here. Thanks, Cory.
Fantastic. Thanks. Andrew Johnston, why don't you round out our quartet here?
Sure. Nice to meet everybody. My name is Andrew. I've been in the commercial equipment finance space for 11 years, primarily focused on customer financing for dealerships that either don't have a captive program or for their customers that fall out of their captive programs. I'm the CEO of DealerDog. We are a finance automation software that can be embedded anywhere in your dealership, but we're also a technical and automation consultants for dealerships for your sales funnel from A to Z. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. I'm looking forward to this chat.
Awesome. Well, we might as well jump straight in. The first question I want to ask is, what are some of the signals, or one signal that you're seeing from customers that the relationship or the partnership is changing?
I can jump in here. I mean, it's completely different than it was during COVID. The end users have options now. It was a few years ago. It was primarily, what can I get my hands on? What dealers got it? Price didn't really matter. And now we see a lot more price shopping, see a lot more interrogation, a lot more offense than defense by the end user, which I think is a good thing. And it's, just a completely different experience. To my point, a lot of price shopping, and sales have slowed a little bit across the nation, and we're still adapting. Good months, bad months, somewhere in the middle. But the customers from our side is kind of back in the driver's seat, where a few years ago, to me, it was not like that. So.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think the COVID was a big piece that we went to transactional. Is your team working on building? We talked about previously as well too, that you've got a crew that are out on the road 3, 4, 5 days a week building those relationships. What are some of the steps that you're taking to build those relationships that are to move it from the transaction?
Well, just trying to get to know, our primary funnel, if you will, is selling to dealerships, and through 7 or 8 states in the Southeast, we pretty well have working relationships with most of the commercial dealers. And, some have great vibes you walk in, and some are trying to get it together. And, that kind of ties back into the question of, I think some dealers are still kind of floundering a little bit, trying to figure out what has changed. And there's certain dealerships out there that we go to and sell to that are absolutely kicking butt and taking names. And, they're, to the point of this whole panel, is they're on the forefront of figuring out the changes because they have their relationships and they understand their relationships.
So, from my side, sorry, didn't mean to jump in there quick. I agree. I think it's, in commercial vehicles, it's always been about relationship building. But in times of COVID, it was grab whatever you can get, and if it works, it'll work. I think what's changed now versus pre-COVID is not only you've always been expected to be an advisor to your end user customer and help them build and spec the right vehicle for them that's going to meet their commercial use. I think what's changed now is really you need to be more than just an advisor on how to spec a truck. You need to understand the climate, the political climate, the scenario. How are you going to be compliant, build a vehicle that might take 9 months to build and deliver? How do you know 9 months from now it's going to be the right vehicle? And predicting and planning for that with speed and clarity and confidence. I think that's really what's changed in today's world.
And Andrew, are you seeing anything, of course, from the finance side as well, too? Are you seeing that process change at all?
Yeah. I mean, the overarching concept that both Bruce and Nikki brought up as well is that the customer educating themselves has been introduced to the process. I mean, previously, let's just call it 5 years ago, if anybody contacted us on the customer side, it would say, hey, I already spoke with XYZ equipment. Here's an invoice. Can you get me terms? Can you get me what? The finance side. Today, we're being introduced before the dealer. Not every time, but they're coming in. I want to be educated. I want to know if I'm pre-qualified. I want to know all the answers so I can make my decision at the dealership as opposed to fact-finding at the dealership, which I from an evolutionary standpoint, it is a different client that I think we're all used to.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. Now we're working with a lot of dealers across the board. Some of us a little closer than the others. Nikki, you're based there in the heart of America's automotive industry there in Detroit. What do you see some dealers that are still treating it like a transaction versus a partnership? I know, Andrew, you just brought up and said that sometimes they're getting involved with you before they're even going to the dealer. Bruce, we talked about earlier as well, too, where you're directing specific customers to specific dealerships. So what do you see from that standpoint?
Yeah, I think some common mistakes, and we've touched on it already in just these first few minutes, is treating it like a transaction, leading with what's an inventory or even what are you driving today and let's get you a new one, instead of what business are you in? What's your job? What's the right solution for you based on your business need? I think that's one of the big common mistakes there. And then I think another one, as well as once you've built those relationships, is maybe getting lazy on the AI tools and not really being proactive with your customer. You need to anticipate their needs. Lead times are long. How do you predict and become magical? And there's lots of ways dealers are doing that, but I think you need to it goes back to that relationship. Make sure you're checking in with your customer before you pre-order those fleet VINs.
Yeah. Bruce, when you think about some of the best relationships you have with your clients, what is it? What makes them different? What from your best relationships to your not so great relationships, but what's the tenets of them?
Across the board, I would say just becoming a friend before you become their salesman. Understand, to Nikki's point, understanding their needs and truly understanding, not just nodding along. Having the knowledge of turning that wrench to install that bed or welding that plate on a certain way, really resonates with some of the end users, even some of the dealerships. When you have the experience and you've been there, it's easy to relate, right? It's the easiest sell in the world is a product you believe in. So to go into a dealership with confidence of knowing the product and knowing what the customer needs and knowing the best way to offer it has worked well for us.
Yeah, and Nikki, what I hear directly from you is, although the customer is trying to make it transactional, what we can do as their partner is slow it down a little bit and let me understand your business. So what we can do, I can sell you anything you want, but let me make sure it works out well. When you come back and service with me, what can we do to make it better from that standpoint? Because that kind of aligns with that as well too, with your
Yeah,
relationship.
absolutely. And it's really looking at the full life cycle of the vehicle and the fleet for that customer, not just what they need today.
No, very good. And then Bruce, I'll back to you with that because you've got some good of those key relationships. When it doesn't go that way, when they don't have the best relationship, what are some of the steps? And Nikki and Andrew, you as well too, to rebuild that, to dig deeper, to push out of the transactional into the relational.
From a dealership perspective, there's certain dealerships that have a vibe to them. Their salespeople are extremely well trained. Selling a retail car and selling a commercial truck are two. They may as well not even be sold under the same roof, as far as I'm concerned. Different customer experience. The customer buying a commercial truck doesn't want to go sit there for 2 hours and play games in the finance box. They want to get back to work. And so the dealerships that really understand it, we have pretty good relationships with, and the ones that don't, we try to help them along. And when the same cab chassis are sitting out front for 6 months and they can't figure out why, if they're willing to ask for opinions, we'll give it. If not, we'll keep popping in there and try to sell them something, right? But really, just to my earlier point, Cory, the ones that get it are doing well, and I think it goes back to just a fundamental approach of salesmanship. All the tools at dealerships' disposals today of AI, the CRMs, the 100 robocalls a day, and everything else. I think that gets a lot of priority. Where if some of these guys would go back to just a handshake, a smile, and get out of the office, I think that's just pretty quick results.
Yeah.
Nikki, I mean, you hit it right on the head with the robocalls. That leads you right into the next question: is messaging. We've talked about the salesperson relationship and the dealer relationship, but dealer communication. Nikki, how do dealers move from transaction focused messages to partnership focused messages? That's right up your alley.
Absolutely. Number one is make sure your sales team and your marketing team are talking to each other and collaborating. I think that's honestly the biggest gap. But I think how you break free from that is talk about your solutions and your capabilities. Today's consumer is much more educated, commercial or retail. They can buy a vehicle nationwide. There's a lot of competition. It's not just the 3 dealerships down the road from you any longer. So what sets you apart is important to promote and talk about, not only from a marketing standpoint, but when you're out there with your outside sales team too. So that, to me, I think it's about that. Again, get away from the inventory, get away from that transaction-based marketing, selling solutions, talk about telematics, talk about how that coordinates with your dealership or your upfitter and how that all works together in one ecosystem.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Bruce, I'm going back to pick on you. We were talking a little bit earlier about we walked into a dealership that just had a different vibe, and there was a reason this dealership was number one. What were some of the things that stood out to you that had that different vibe? And Nikki, from you and Andrew as well too, was it consistent in the messaging you think you've seen?
More just it starts at the top, right? The owner has a certain mentality that trickles all the way down to the lot quarters, the detailers, all the way through and through. And operators of dealerships that understand commercial seem to do a lot better. They seem to arm their sales force with more tools. To Nikki's point, the dealer down the road is not facing the other dealer down the road; they're facing the dealer 10 states away. When we're out searching for customers, some of the questions that we get are, "Do you have drop ships in this state?" I have a huge customer here. Can you upfit here? Right. And it could be 10 states away. So, it's not just the dealership network changing. It's the upfitter changing as well, and trying to adapt with it and go full circle to the point. The dealerships that understand the value of good upfitters and the disvalue of bad ones seem to also do better. Certain dealerships do their own upfitting. I think it's a great thing. Some do well at it, some don't. But it goes back to that point of, understanding what that customer needs. Nikki's point, telematics and everything else. There's so many solutions out there now that done the right way is great. And if it's not, it's a disaster. So having a dealer operator understand the whole process makes for a pretty good success story 100 out of 100 times.
Like Nick jumping in on like the sales experience in general. I mean, I know my team is guilty of it. I'm sure people listening, your teams are guilty of it too, is that we use the fact finding phase of the customer journey to like increase our close ratios. That's when we build the relationship with the client. And we're frequently talking about with Bruce and Nikki and kind of this whole conversation that they're doing that fact finding outside of your world So then it boils down to kind of the basics of sales itself. What's the customer experience like? Do you understand their problem? Are you communicating that you understand their problem, and can you solve it? So the dealerships are understanding that core concept of how do I sell this machine or this unit or this upfit. Those are the people winning right now, from what at least what we're seeing on our side.
Very much so. And we've hit around, we've kind of danced around the elephant in regards to technology. And we've talked about relationship, we've talked about transactional. Andrew, do you think technology either helps or prevents this kind of partnership?
Technology is technology. In my opinion, technology could and should be an enabler and not a replacer of human efforts or human to human connection. DealerDog itself, and not like pitching, but like DealerDog itself is a technology company. When we rolled out, we were full technology, and the pushback we got from the clients was we're missing the human connection. And then we flipped to the other side and inserted more human connection. They said, we want this to be a little bit easier, a little bit more automated. So putting that into the dealer world, or I guess all of our worlds, there's a very, very fine line of how much technology and automation to put in versus how much of that white glove human service needs to be in your dealership. That is always going to be like on a little teeter-totter amongst yourself. But going, I guess, to what an actual dealership could or should do with technology is take a look at your highest revenue generating roles. I mean, obviously my mind goes to sales, and see what is not, basically what's stopping them from using their superpower of connecting with clients. And is that superpower, or is that task, or that item that you're looking at, can it be automated? Can a robot type it? If your system's connected, can that all be like flow through? And they essentially unlocking more time for the salesperson to set. So if you take from a dealership level, you do that at the sales level, and then go down to the next revenue generating task, finance, marketing, operations, you're going to have a very lean machine once you're through with that revamp.
Yeah. So finding that balance is one of the biggest pieces as well too, because there's benefits of both and building that relationship. From what I hear from there is what you've said. Nikki, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, technology is a tool, right? AI is getting a little bit of a black eye here and there, and it's taking out the humanity, but then it also is a way to make us more human and connect more frequently and be more efficient. So I think it's all about how you use the tool and how you train it and how you leverage technology to help grow your team and make them more efficient. But the commercial vehicle industry has historically been late adopters of technology. Technology is rapidly advancing, so I think we're all being forced to become faster adopters of technology. But I think going back to your customer is well educated, but there's so many options out there. If you know enough about the technology on the vehicle for the application for the industry that they're in, you're going to be that trusted advisor that they're going to lean into. And then they'll start to maybe they'll validate you with AI tools instead of doing that research. And I think that would be the goal as a salesperson.
Yeah. And that's definitely one thing unique, or more unique, about the commercial division versus a retail division. I think we've all hit it on the top of the head, or all danced around it, was that you are competing again, like you said, a dealer that's 10 states away, 10 states away, 3 time zones away. And the relationship with the customer is key, because it can be viewed as a transaction when you're living in Florida and you're selling to a municipality in Washington State. So what are some of those steps that you work, Bruce, especially you, to connect those, and Nikki, some of the marketing messages that you have as well too, to connect that South Florida dealership or team to Issaquah, Washington?
Just trying to understand the dynamics of each, right? Before we got on here, of course, all of us were chatting and just the differences in time zones and states today and accents and everything else. And so trying to relate that to a business side, and the reality is the customer can't buy a truck without a dealership, and I can't build one without a dealership to go to an end user, right? So dealership has to be involved. To Nikki's earlier point and Andrew's, it's to me, it depends on the dealership as to how much technology you push on them. To how much, but as far as understanding the way specs are written in Washington State and California, to our earlier point, California is kind of kind of the line in the sand, right? If it can pass in California, it passes pretty much anywhere in the world. So trying to understand that, from my side with technology, we try to go in with a people first approach, but there are, to Andrew's point, there are things that are monotonous that AI is extremely good at, so you're kind of buying back time. But hopefully that answers the question in a roundabout way there.
Nikki, what about the marketing messages that are working with a cross-country dealership to customer?
I think as a dealer and as an upfitter or an upfit manufacturer, you need to lead into your expertise, right? Whatever that is. There's only a handful of commercial sales people that can spec an ambulance, right? Not everybody does that. So what's your special, unique, right? And then focus in on that, because then you can use AI to find more customers like your best customer and then reach that. But in the end, you should be the human in the middle. Think of AI, it's still like an eager college intern. It really wants to please you, but it'll lie and fool you. So you gotta be that human still.
I like that analogy. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to steal that one from you, Nikki, as well. Andrew, we've got dealerships all over, and they invest in marketing, they invest in technology, and they invest in sales training, but none of it works. None of it connects. Is it a time problem? Is it a skill problem? Is it a culture problem? From your experience, what do you think about that?
I think every once in a while, culture problems will creep up there, but as a blanket statement, I'm a big, in its basic form, a big proponent in humanity finding the path of least resistance to do things, especially in your teams. So if you find this golden tool you've been sold, it sounds amazing, you're going to implement it, and your team isn't using it, it's because it's not the path of least resistance for them, or it's not solving a problem that they're actually experiencing day to day. So frequently when situations like this pop up, I feel that there's a disconnect from the person making the decision to buy the tool, implement the software, whatever phrase you want to use there, and the actual operators doing the dance on the ground floor. Usually solved. I mean, we didn't like ask about solution, but usually solved by getting someone of a higher level ground operator into the room, where when you're talking about this software, to make sure that it fits every category that you're trying to automate or optimize, so it actually does have a higher stick rate. But I've seen it over and over again with dealerships that the implementation and the operators on the floor are just not connected.
What have you seen with that, Bruce, in regards to everything a dealership tried to bring in to connect with that customer?
I mean, I follow up on Andrew's point. I would agree with all of his as far as just it's kind of getting back on the balls of your feet to field a ground ball may not be the best approach. You need to charge it, throw it first. And I think a lot of dealerships are just not that it's a cultural problem, but just the almost a COVID hangover. It might be the best way I could put it from what we see, as far as a lot of dealerships are still hoping for that $6,000 a copy and waiting on that guy to walk in the door. So it's I don't know, a skill problem. It really varies dealership to dealership. There's a lot of talented people in the world, as we know, and a lot of talented people in the car business, especially in the commercial business from my side. And so it really just varies, but do people have problems? Yes. But the ones that figure it out, they're the ones that are winning,
Sounds like it goes back to that balance. There's a lot of great technology out there. There's a lot of great experience out there. I mean, collectively on this call, we'd probably have close to 100 years of experience in the industry. So finding that balance between what we think is possible to what we really want to do, and Nikki, it goes back to what you said at the very beginning, is understanding our customer's business. Will the tools that we want to bring in help us understand and connect with that standpoint? Nikki, I'll go directly to you. What do you wish dealers understood more about their customer?
Well, dealers that I think data is important at a dealership, and I think that if they understood the data that they had on their customer base, I think that that's really important, and goes back to AI and leveraging it to the best that it can be. I'll give you an example. If I'm a business owner of 3 vehicles and it's like a small, I don't know, landscaping business, to make it easy, I might be buying those vehicles in my personal name, but I also might be buying my personal vehicles from the same dealer, maybe even the same sales rep. So really just understanding that this is a retail customer and a commercial customer, and having that ability to segregate those customer types and recognize there's overlap. I think that that's really huge for understanding that customer and talking to them appropriately. It's just as simple as, don't send me 6 surveys for the 6 identical
Right.
cargo vans I just purchased, and having that understanding in the data systems that you're, to talk appropriately to the customer. It's a trick at every level, by the way, OEM down to the dealer. So
Everybody on this call has success stories from their customers, that from a market standpoint, from upfitter standpoint, sorry, Bruce, and the collection of solutions that Andrew and team provides. Andrew, what's one of the success stories that you kind of hang your hat on? Like, we came into this dealership and they were X and we took them to Y. And let's talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, the largest success story, or the one I frequently go back to, is that there was a large commercial dealership selling yellow iron specifically. They were doing many multiples of units a month, 100+ units a month, and their finance flow was on Google Sheets, email submissions, like kind of the whole kind of, like, I want to call it caveman, but it was definitely rudimentary. The ask was, we have this F&I team. We are spending way too much time filling in these cells, doing the whole dance on that side. So it really was like their plan was, before we got there, was to hire many more people to essentially like build out an F&I team that can then continue to do the rudimentary process of it that they had built, which it worked. Like, no shade on that. But specifically, like, now we're talking about things that you can automate with technology or systems talking to each other. We built them an actual finance portal that, one, spoke with their CRM, which I think was, well, it was one of the big box CRMs. It spoke with their CRM. It API'd into all the lenders that they wanted to go into submission wise. Notes, attachments, signed applications, PII compliant, SOC 2, the whole thing, which resulted in, instead of hiring 3 or 4 additional people, they could just stay with their 1 or 2. And then also they could scale it pretty much infinitely as well. So I guess, like, bringing it back to this conversation as a whole, it was something like, hey, like, that sucks. What you get, what you guys are doing day to day is taking too much of your time, too much of your valuable time actually selling finance, or actually doing the whole finance dance with your customer. Let's automate the stuff that you're spending 50% of your time on. Now your finance revenue as a whole is now an arm and a leg above where it was.
Very nice. And Bruce, you've got a unique spot where you're servicing not only customers, but dealerships. Like, you kind of branches off into both as working as an upfitter. Tell me about one of the success stories that you've had where you're serving that partnership between each.
From a dealership perspective, to your point, that there is 2 completely different perspectives there with end user and dealerships, and yes, they overlap, but they are 2 separate things. From a dealership perspective, we've had dealers tell us absolutely not. We're happy where we are, and it's just the sales persistence of going in once or twice a month, handshake and smile, and don't press on them, and just give them time, and they'll come around, right? But one that comes to mind, we've had some dealerships that we're trying to get into the commercial game, and they get the right guy in there to the earlier questions and conversations about the personnel, and the right guy, and he may be green and just want somebody to kind of guide him along, right? And having the opportunity, the ability, and the knowledge to say, hey, maybe we don't spend $20,000 on this one upfit for this one weird spec chassis. Maybe we put 3 98 single rear wheels on there instead of a weird landscape body, right? So having the ability to guide them along, and to the earlier questions about building the customer relationship, that, to me, that's how it's done in its most basic form, is solving problems that they didn't even know they had. And you solve it by either experiencing it or just having the knowledge and we typically experience it pretty often on how to figure out a problem. So, but it's, to Andrew's point, just the problem solving that customer of his had a large problem. And, the enthusiasm Andrew has talking through that in his voice there is always exciting to hear. And he's passionate about it. And we're the same way as upfitters to dealers and end users, right? There's the end user side, kind of getting long-winded here, but the end user side, it's, understanding what their problem is. And to Nikki's point about 20 minutes ago, it's, that problem could change from the time they order the truck to the time they get it.
Yeah.
Understanding their timeline, their processes, everything, that's really, that helps us understand and helps them understand and make both people successful in the transaction. So.
Yep. Nikki, similar to Bruce, has a unique perspective regarding both sides of the customer. You've got a great perspective from a marketing standpoint. So you're trying to convey the message from the dealer as well as coach them along. Tell me about a success story that you've had with taking the dealer and kind of opening up their sales funnel a little bit wider by just thinking a little bit differently towards that customer.
I love the question, and Cory, maybe I'm going to switch it to an upfitter because as you were talking, as Bruce was talking, I was thinking about a recent example. So I'm in marketing, right? I sell lead generation, websites, digital media, that type of thing. There was an upfitter who's been in business a long time, multi-generational. They don't manufacture anything. They modify bodies and install bodies and that sort of thing. And they couldn't be found on Google. Like then you Googled their name, a different company came up and it was very frustrating to them. So they hired me to help. And within 2 weeks, we kicked that company's butt. And now today, fast forward 5-6 years, you can't even see the company when you search for them. And it's just, to me, that helps me feel good that we're helping them. And from that standpoint, we watch their online sales go up too. So that they work with clients to sell bodies, but they also sell maintenance and parts to keep in touch. And so I think just watching that growth happen was something inspiring for me. And it just goes to show, like, you got to be aware of your online footprint as well, when you're out there, because it is a national search for vehicles.
Very much so. Now, as we get towards the end of this conversation here, I want you guys to think about one thing. So if there's a lot of dealers watching this, a lot of partners watching this, a lot of people watching this, if they were to do one thing, two things to start doing right now, what do you think this should be? I'll give you a second to think about that. What should they do to focus on building that relationship, the cultivating the partner with their customers? What's their quick takeaway from there as well that they can start immediately? Who wants to go first? Pick on Andrew. Pick on Bruce enough.
Pick up the phone,
Yeah.
right?
Pick up the phone.
The good old fashioned, right? Reach out, text them, build your relationships.
Don't
forget about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, good.
You want to go, Bruce?
It doesn't matter. I'll piggyback from Nikki there. Just being available at the dealership and away from the dealership would probably be, if you could change one thing, that doesn't take any extra effort. And to me, the other thing is, if you're an operator in a dealership, go ask the salespeople, go ask the F&I, actually break it down. Go ask the person coming in the door, what's the biggest problem today? What can we fix? Where do you need my help? Not that Knollwood is perfect in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but we do meet once a week and say, what's the biggest problem? What are customers saying? Where do we miss this week? Where do we hit this week? And just break it down to the basics, and I think to the whole, the 35-minute conversation now, just a lot of people have kind of hit the easy button, and it's time to figure out why it's not working anymore. Right. So.
Bruce, that's a fantastic thing to talk. What are you running up against? What are the frustrations? What of the past week of having that check-in with your team? What have you found from that when you checked in with the team? Like, what do you think that you weren't aware of?
We're not a huge company, but there are several levels that sometimes problems make it to me and sometimes it don't. And it helps me understanding what problems we are making. Why are customers mad? Why are they happy? But To answer your question, I found several quality issues through processes implemented from the weekly check-ins. And, each truck we build gets 35 to 40 photos before it ever leaves the shop. So when I'm at home after the kids have gone to bed, I sit on the couch and go on the laptop and I look at pictures of trucks we built that day. And so, something as simple as that, or, saying, hey, this dealership was hot and now they're not. Well, maybe I need to go see them, or my sales guys do, or maybe something's wrong. Let's call and ask, right? So just having the open communication and just taking it back to an elementary level has helped us a lot.
And before I get to you, Andrew, I'm going to pick on Nikki one more time. That discovery that Bruce talks about as well too. When you go in to help a dealership or help a company from their marketing standpoint, and you're doing that discovery, have you come into situations where you're coming in for X, but then all of a sudden you realize it pivots, it changes to Y because you see a different need through that discovery?
Absolutely. That happens most frequently, and that's why we always start with discovery, right? Like, what are you doing? What do you have? Who's your customer? What's working? What's not? Like, that's pretty basic stuff. And then from there, the plan changes potentially. And I think a lot of times when it comes to being prepared for good things, it starts with good data. In my world, right? Good data comes from building good relationships with your customers and keeping track and being organized about it. And that's when AI can really be a shiny suit in the form of video games, right? It really helps you do more.
Mm-hmm. And Andrew, what can a dealer, what can a viewer of this call start doing today, tomorrow, Monday, that will make an impact on their relationship with the customers?
Well, from a just get started standpoint, I mean, I think most of my comments have been around technology. I would actually do an audit of the technologies that you've implemented recently in the last couple of years, and actually speak with your ground floor people, and are they actually helping and making your life easier? There's an old phrase that one of my managers used to always say, that what can be measured can be improved, and what can't be measured can't be improved. So instead of just saying, hey, so-and-so, how's this going? And they say, good. You start saying, hey, this software has allowed us to quote 100 more units. And then previously we were at 50. That seems like a market improvement. So like actually going through and saying, like, these are the technologies that we're implementing. Why are we implementing them? Did they actually help? And then speaking to leadership in the room, it's okay to be wrong. You bid on a software, it didn't work. It didn't work out. What the actual real problem is, if you get a software that only solves 10% of the problem, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, and you have this huge stack of cards that falls. So be very intentional about why you're implementing software, what it's going to do for your business, and what the end result for your ground floor people look like.
Yeah, without a doubt, those check-ins and those discoveries and those questioning. I love the quote about, if it can be measured, it can be improved. Those are, of course, we're working with our clients, and those are all steps that a dealer can take with their customers. What are the holdups? Like Bruce, you said right on this end, like, what's stopping you from making this decision right now? Do you not trust us? Do you not see what we can do? Do you not see the benefits that we can provide? Nikki, you hit it right in the top from the very beginning of this call, discovery, truly understanding their business. You're exactly right. There are very few that can quote an ambulance nationwide. There's very few. Like, what's your business? What can you do? And Andrew, you succinctly put it right there as we wrapped up again. Any final comments from any of you?
I'll jump in here if I can. Not to plug Work Truck Solutions, but from the piggyback on Andrew there, us implementing Work Truck Solutions has been a huge help in visibility, and from Andrew's point of implementing the right technology. What you guys are doing really does tie a lot of loose ends together. Look at the people on this call, completely different ends of the world, completely different markets, not even close. But you get to talking and there's common ground. And so I would like to say we do appreciate the work you guys do. And, getting to know Mike Kai that works with the upfitters, and kind of stripping him for some knowledge, because he has a lot of it, it's been really good. So.
And that's one of the biggest things is customer partnerships. They're not complicated. They're just different They take time. They take listening. And it takes, sometimes we have to say no. I do thank all of you for your conversations today. I thank you for attending CVBS.